Two, three. What's up, everyone? We're with Ross here for an awesome interview, and he's actually an ADHD entrepreneur. He started several things, and he's right now in his business, which he's gonna show us later on, right?
Absolutely. I mean, very excited to participate, help out, talk about some of the roadblocks that we come across that are a little different than maybe other people handle, but yeah, very excited.
So thank you for joining us and for wanting to do this with me and sharing your story with the people who might need to hear a story like this. Because I remember I needed to hear something like this when I was 17, because I really thought I was going to be a loser if I didn't see something like that. Because I've seen an article on Forbes that said, it's the entrepreneur's superpower, etc. But it helped me. So thanks.
I saw that same article, but it was after I had already discovered the difference and trying to make heads or tails of it. But obviously we'll get into that. I remember that article as well.
Right. It saved my life, man, because I really thought I couldn't do anything. I was in my own environment at school, and that was the only environment in which I was trying to succeed. I didn't actually think outside of the box and try to do something else, I was like, What's wrong with me? But anyway, so before we start asking you some interesting questions, man, could you just talk a little bit about yourself, what you do right now, and what your companies do? And
of course.
Brag.
Yeah, I'd love to. So obviously we'll get into the specifics of how it relates to ADD and ADHD here in a little bit, but for what I do, and I've owned or started or failed at probably 3 or 4 dozen businesses, so 30 or so. So at this point, and I started my first one when I was 8, so I had no idea what I was doing, but that was that. It was just ingrained in me. But I've also had 4 careers. So I've had regular careers. I was in the U.S. Navy. I worked in retail management for a long time. I worked in restaurant management for a long time. And then I finally said, okay, it's time to do my own business. And it's, of course, always a very bumpy road, but, here we are, fast forward about 11 years and things are going really well. Just still a lot of stuff to dial in, a lot of stuff to get better at, but, I've got several employees. They're amazing people, and that kind of makes it all worthwhile. So it's been a good journey.
Right. But like, what are you like right now? What are you doing? And what are the companies that you run?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. So currently I have 4 businesses that I own. The main one that I've been focused on for the last 11 years that is still just on a huge upward climb is rehab detailing. So you can go to rehabdetailing.com or follow us on Instagram. Those are our 2 main hubs where we put out what we do. It's a detailing shop, but we've always kind of done the upper echelon of detailing. And because of my background in customizing cars, we've brought a lot of those things into it. So vinyl wrapping, custom wheels, all kinds of different things that we do that kind of have allowed us to grow above a normal detailing shop. We've had several cars go to the SEMA show in Las Vegas. We had a car go to Pebble Beach last year that we did a vinyl wrap on. So we're kind of more across the nation, more than just, worried about, who's within a 5-mile radius. So it's been pretty cool to see that. The other spinoff from that is Cleveland Custom Wheels. So it's basically the same business, but the marketing is very different. So we try to get people in the door buying wheels and then get them detailing. In the other businesses, all detailing, get people to buy wheels.
The initial offer is just different, but it's the same service, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, if you've ever, well, obviously I know you're on Secret Entourage. So Pajim has always talked about parallel businesses. So you use the same resources and the same customer base, and you build a new product. So in this case, it's a little bit different because it's more of a marketing ploy than a different business. But at the end of the day, I use the same staff, and I use the same office, and I use the same building, and I use the same tools and the same knowledge to accomplish an additional service or product. So that's Cleveland Custom Wheels. So that's kind of we still use it, and we've been advertising it or not advertising it actively, but just passively advertising it for 4 years. So I'll get about 2 or 3 calls a week for that, and I'll get about 20 or 30 for detailing. But when we sell a set of wheels and it's $4,000 or $10,000 set of wheels, it makes good money. And and once I get a few pieces into place, we'll ramp up the marketing on that and actually move into more of a wholesale, or different there's other things that we can do. So right now it's just kind of simmering. But but there's a nice website built and everything. It's just a matter of, I just don't have the manpower to really, really explode it right now, but that's there.
But
sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna ask you, but you can continue, because I had a question concerning this. Like, was it all like, were these all your ideas? Like, did you just come up with all of these things, of these tactics, for example, of changing just the different the initial offer, but keeping the same? I know the concept is there and you learned it, but
yeah,
do you come up with all of the ideas, the strategies for your business, or do you have someone with you helping you?
Oh no, that's great. No, it's definitely me. Not to brag, but I literally have 6 businesses ready to go as soon as I can launch them. So and here's the thing, we're going to talk a lot about ADD, obviously. One of the things that most people hopefully are aware of is that with ADD and ADHD, you tend to be very observant of what's going on, maybe too much so. And so if you can kind of take in that information and harness it and utilize it, and you can kind of assess what people are observing and what they're thinking, then it can help you kind of rearrange what you're trying to do to reach them, and ultimately to reach, revenue, to reach their money. And so the ideas come faster than I can possibly build them.
Yeah.
Now, of course, a lot of that contributes to being involved in, places that help spark the inspiration, like Secret Entourage.
Yeah.
Watching Grant Cardone and Gallant Dill and some of these other guys that are amazing guys. But I've got the ideas lined up around the block, ready to go.
Yeah. Like with ADHD, once you watch a video, you're guaranteed that you're going to write like 3 or 2 notes about it. Like 3 or 2 ideas that I mean, each video is guaranteed to inspire you to kind of create or come up with a creative idea for your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always working. It's always like an explosion of ideas. I got you.
Yeah. So, and then I'll just touch on the other 2. So the third one is luxury home coatings. And so what it is, it's kind of similar to what we do with the cars. We do a ceramic glass coating that's very hard. So once it goes on the car, it's much harder than the paint. So it keeps it from scratching, makes it easier to clean, and it's crystal clear. We adapted that to use on like granite and stainless steel and glass in the home. And we found that our clients, it's a parallel business. So same clients, same resources, and you can sell them a new product. And so we'll go into a home and spend, 1 or 2 days, bill them about $2,000 or $3,000 and coat all their surfaces in this ceramic glass, which also makes it more sanitary, easier to keep clean. And again, some of these people aren't necessarily cleaning their own homes, but it's it's a matter of just keeping it clean, and they like spending money on their homes, so it works out really well. So that's our third business. Those 3 are tied together, and I have 3 more that will launch under this umbrella within the next couple of years. It's just a matter of building, stabilizing, so on and so forth.
The marketing continue. Just continue.
Yeah, sorry. The 4th one is the marketing agency that you and I were talking about a little bit. So Juggernaut Media Incorporated is just something small. I just started it. We're kind of reaching out to high-end clients, which is great because I already have 1,000 clients, so I can reach out to my personal clients and then offer to help them get more sales. So there was a period of time at Rehab Detailing where we actually couldn't even market anymore. We had to stop all of our marketing. We had to not take on new clients because we couldn't handle the volume that was coming at us. And so I feel like we're very good at marketing, that we built up such a business and a brand and a reputation that, we're actually recognized in the DuPont registry as one of the top shops one of the top 10 shops in the country, in the US. We've had featured ads in there, and like I said, we've had a car go to Pebble Beach. We've had cars go to SEMA. So it's been really, really great. So what I wanted to do is kind of utilize that ability to capture sales. And instead of capturing sales and then also having to walk over there and actually do all the work, now I could just capture the sales and get paid for it. So that's, marketing at its finest. And that business is getting up and running. It's hard because I'm so busy here, but I try to put about 10 hours a week into that and really try to get that going.
I see. Why don't you? It's just a normal idea, but I mean, why don't you help like businesses like yours in the United States get more clients since you're great at it and you just can't take no more clients now.
No, that's great. Well, a lot of it's regional. So sometimes there can be a lot of factors that are different, and also talent.
Mm.
So it's a very specialized talent, ability, and experience ability. So I can't take my 25
Oh
years
yeah, yeah,
of customizing cars and really teach someone how to do that in a seminar. But you're right, from a branding perspective and a sales and pricing perspective, I've actually thought about hosting either a webinar or an actual physical class or coaching people in how to do that, because obviously detailing shops are becoming very prevalent now that ceramic glass coatings have become very mainstream. But we were doing it almost 7 years ago before most people knew what they were. As soon as I
yeah.
saw it, I go, that's what we're doing. We're not using wax. We're never doing that again. We're doing that. We're doing ceramic. So now that everybody goes, oh my God, I just discovered ceramic. It's amazing. I'm making all this money.
Yeah.
Well, we can help you kind of fine tune it and make it consistent. So now in the wintertime, you're still making money. And in the, whatever, you're still making money. So that sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, that's something I've been wanting to develop, and I just need to sit down and not go work on anything and just, put it together. A little harder than for some people because, we get distracted, right?
Yeah. So basically, the next question is going to be, who was Ross when he was a kid and who was he when he was a teenager? You told me you started since you were 8, but
Yeah.
I mean, like the big goals, I want to start this and this. What was motivating you? And just tell us basically about your childhood.
Sure, I'll give you the short version because I think my adulthood's a lot more interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
I just always felt I felt motivated. I felt like I had to keep moving forward. I don't even know why. My parents were hippies. They didn't care. They were just like, oh, sure, whatever you want to do. You want to, you want to be a garbage collector. You want to be a lawyer. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. But thankfully, they
Yeah.
did put me into a private school. I was able to kind of learn maybe at a faster rate, and it kind of built up a momentum of wanting to learn and wanting to achieve. And so I tried to do that, but I had no direction. I'm 43, by the way. So just going back into the 80s as I was growing up, I didn't have, there wasn't Secret Entourage. Okay. Grant Cardone wasn't out there hosting webinars. There were no webinars. There was no internet. So even the books and stuff really didn't talk about entrepreneurialism. They just talked about business. So, you could read The Art of the Deal from Donald Trump, and you could learn about how to do $10 million real estate deals, but you couldn't learn how to, today you go and buy stuff at a yard sale and go sell it on eBay. Like there was nobody showing how to start out with $100 and make 1,000. So I just didn't know, and I didn't have the direction, but I knew it in my heart. I knew it. And it's funny, even as I'm, was buying my first home and I'm like looking at the expenses, I was like 20 years old, and I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the care and I'm looking at this, and I go, it doesn't make any sense to own a home. And then you fast forward a few years and Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone both say, don't buy a home. It's not a good investment. And I go, I knew I wasn't crazy. Everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy. So over time, it came to a point, as a child and as a teenager, I was just motivated and I was driven, and I worked 2 jobs, and I, took all honors classes. And then instead of going to college, I just didn't feel like college was the right move. As you know, in school, you're usually like, just, you're bored. I'm in advanced classes. I'm literally sleeping in them, and I'm still getting B's in the class, and I'm not even doing any of my homework because I would take the test and I would just ace it. So my average scores were B's, and I'm like, who cares? I'm so uninspired.
Yeah.
But
then when you go to class, you're there and you're there and you're hearing yourself say, okay, I'm here, but I'm not listening. So what, like, I mean, I could have been somewhere else and it wouldn't make a difference because you're actually really not there. Your brain is literally not there, not focusing. It's impossible.
I would work at my job at 16 years old. I'd work at my job till 11:30 at night. Sometimes I'd go out and play billiards or pool afterwards. And then I'd come home 1 o'clock in the morning, sleep, get up at 6, go to school, and then I'd sleep through class because I was tired. It was a stupid move, but I was tired, but I didn't need to listen. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but it was just it wasn't helpful. It was good for the masses. It wasn't good for for me. And so as I got out of school, I realized that going to college really just didn't do anything for me. I wasn't excited about it. I felt like it was too expensive. And so I went in the Navy. And so when I went into the Navy, I tested at some of the highest levels. Again, I'm not trying to brag, just giving the story. And they put me in the nuclear program. So now I was a nuclear electronics technician, and the classes were all designed by MIT. And I was like second in my class, and I was doing great. And again, I'm pretty interested now because it's pretty challenging, but I was still kind of like, okay, now what? Now what? Like, this isn't fulfilling in any way. And so I always had this dichotomy up until probably I was about 20 or 21, kind of going through these classes or going through the Navy and different things. And I felt like there's always this dichotomy of me kind of, should I do something intellectual or should I do something artistic? Intellectual, artistic, intellectual, artistic. And finally, the artistic side won out. I go, I don't want to do that. It's too boring. Intellectual is boring. I mean, granted, I'm I could go out there and be a mathematician or a physicist or a lawyer or a doctor and make more money, or I could just be awesome. I could just go have fun and be creative. And it was a longer, harder road, but it's so much more rewarding for me. And of course, everybody's journey is going to be different, but that's kind of the way that I took it. Sorry if I'm just bulldozing through all this stuff because there's so much to talk about. But
no, man, it's great. It's great. The way you're doing it is great. I mean, I lived with this. I was in the flow with your story. Okay.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. So let me say one thing, because I think this is really important, and is that ADD and ADHD, and obviously I know you want to ask me like, when did I know and blah, blah, blah. And I want to get into that. But here's my take on it, is it seems to be prevalent now, whereas maybe 100 years ago it didn't exist or people weren't aware of it. And I want to throw out a food for thought of what it actually is and why people are trying to medicate or not medicate or whatever. And if you subscribe to this philosophy, which I do, then all the other answers are very easy to understand. And here's what it is that I don't think ADD is any kind of malfunction in our mind. What I think it is it is a combination of two things. You're very intelligent and you're very observant. And so what happens in our modern society is that you're constantly being bombarded with input. You are being, oh, I can see that over there. Oh, I can see that over there. Oh, I'm watching this. I got my phone right here. I've got, an iPad right next to it. I'm constantly being bombarded with information that my brain, because it's intelligent, wants to process. It wants to understand it. It wants to know what's going on. And so when you're younger, you don't necessarily have a handle on how to do that. So you're just stuff coming in all the time and you're trying to figure it out. And of course, you're just totally forgetting what happened 3 minutes ago, because for you, the amount of information you've received since that time 5 minutes ago is 10 times more than most people will take in.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, that's what ADD is a combination of being intelligent and observant, and you have so much information coming to you that you want to understand it, you want to process it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that it's a difference. It's a difference in the brain. It's just, I mean, the way I see it, it's the creative brain that is going to be disorganized, etc., that is not going to be able to do some basic things at home, without living with someone who could actually take care of these things, basically. But I mean, at the same time, the way I see things should be is, as long as because everyone has a way that he sees basically his ADHD, and it's great. But the most important thing is that we should not see it as something that is very negative, because once you do that, we have the hyperfocus. We have something called the hyperfocus that we do. You're gonna hyperfocus on the negative, and it's just gonna snowball. And I mean, I've been through periods where I just hyperfocused on the negative. Nothing comes out of this apart from being a bit deeper. Becoming a deep person, becoming a bit too philosophical, which could have some advantages. But I mean,
absolutely.
If you care about having some good results in your life, you just gotta first think that you actually could perform in something and try to find this thing. What is it? Be self-aware, and that's the most important thing. And that's how I view the thing. That's how it
Yeah,
goes.
sounds very similar. So when that information all comes in, learning to put off the stuff that's not urgent or important and harness the things that are urgent or important is the key to becoming successful as an ADD person or an ADHD person. When I discovered it, I know this is a question you're going to ask me anyway. So when I was talking to a pastor actually, and he goes, Ross, have you ever been diagnosed with ADD? And I'm 30 years old at this point, and it never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. I just thought that everybody's the same. Like everybody forgets their keys or their wallet. Everybody's, focused on, trying to have a conversation, but you're not even thinking about it. You're thinking about 20 other things. And I thought that was normal. So when he goes, so I got checked out, and sure enough, no surprise to probably anyone around me, but so I was like, okay, so now I had to decide whether I wanted to be medicated or not. And so I did some research on it. And at that time, and this would have been, I guess about 2002, 2005, somewhere around there. So at that point in time, I go, you know what, I didn't really see a lot of information, but what I did see was that the owner of JetBlue was, again, a very prominent person speaking about ADD. Of course, he goes, it's no problem because I have an assistant. So my assistant can handle all of these duties. And I go, okay, that's my new goal. I want an assistant. And then also like Ty Pennington that did the home remodel show. And, he was a big spokesperson for it. And so I started looking at it and I go, well, here's the articles I'm reading where people they feel like it helps them be creative. And here's the articles I'm reading that say, well, they can really focus on their studies better if they're medicated. And I go, you know what? I just don't want to. I don't want to. And my significant other at the time was like, oh, you should get medicated. Definitely. And I go, I'm definitely not a medication person overall. Like I mean, unless I'm dying, like that's the only time I'll try to take anything. But when it came to the ADD, I go, well, I don't want to like dull this down. Like I don't want to dull this down. I'm not saying it's super easy to deal with in society if you're not sure how to harness it, but I don't want to dull it down. And so for me, medication was I never took any. I never wanted to. And now that I've, been able to kind of put things into the correct places in my mind and my correct places in my life. And I used to have an assistant and I don't anymore because they couldn't keep up with me. So I was able to just really find a certain amount of success doing it the way that I wanted to do it and doing what I love to do. And so I'm very happy with that. I think it's a harder road maybe than somebody just going through and going, okay, I'm going to go to Harvard and I got a master's and then I go and get this job at Google and I'm making, $250 a year and I'm only 26 and, and then going through all these things and they go, okay, well now I bought a chain of restaurants. So now I'm making money off of that. There's a white collar progress that can work really well for people that's good for. But for those of us that are creative, there's so much that you can create that just beautifies the world. So, if you can get people to pay you for that, then it's so much more rewarding than just just stacking, revenue streams. So.
Yeah. And by the way, a fun story regarding the virtual assistant, the assistants. So the agency that I talked about, I wanted to do practically a lot of things. I wanted to do marketing and I wanted to do virtual assistants, etc. Right? But one time I was like, wait, I'm really interested in knowing about psychology and in the ADHD community. That was before the ADHDoers. So I actually what I wanted to do in the first before ADHDoers was providing virtual assistant services to people who have ADHD, right? Because I thought that was the most important thing to be solved, right? Sure. And I couldn't keep up with it. So it was there were two problems. It was a lot of work with us, right? And the second thing was I actually think that we didn't have like the best people who could I didn't have like the real manpower I needed for this to actually work. So I dodged and I was like, 10 years from now, if AI is advanced, I'm going to create a virtual assistants from AI for ADHDoers, and I'm going to put it under the brand. So I was like, let's just put this plan a bit later on. So I changed it all. But I mean, that was the fun Sorry.
I actually designed an app for ADHD people. It was called Focus. I never built it. I never got it built, but it was a dynamic task manager. So you would add your tasks in, and you would categorize them a certain way, and you do it all very quickly. It was very ergonomic, and then it would dynamically load them based on their importance. So you could scroll through, and as you would look at important things, you could filter out just the important tasks. Because if we write it out, like I normally do on a sheet of paper, I'll start looking down my tasks and I'll go, ooh, that looks like fun, and I'll do that one, and then this one up here that's super important, I'm not doing it. And so I developed this whole thing, but I never developed it. I just designed it. I did, screenshots and blah, blah, blah. But I felt like I needed it. And so I wanted to build it just to have it. And I knew that other people in our situations would be able to use it, but I never put it together.
Well, now you know me. And if I felt like we needed something like this, let's just design it.
Do it. I'll send over the screenshots I did from 5 years ago, and you tell me what you think.
Yeah. Okay. Do it. So
awesome.
The next question. I mean, you answered some of my questions that I wrote.
Sure.
You answered them before while you were talking. So let me just read.
Okay.
Basically, the next question is naturally going to be whether you think it was something that helped you succeed or not, and from the way you talk about it, seems like it, but I mean, explain it. Could
sure.
Do you think your life could have been better without it? Could you trade it?
No, I think it's important. I'll tell you what, I spent a lot of years beating myself up because of it. I think that's important to say, because there's going to be a lot of guys in here that are a lot younger, that are going to be questioning, am I doing this right? Because the people around you will look like they're advancing faster or doing better or whatever. And you have to ignore all that shit. You have to ignore it, because what works for someone, it's like eyeglasses. If I have a set of eyeglasses for vision, and if you're like, I can't see very well, I'll give you my glasses, it's not going to necessarily help you. Your vision is totally different. So what works for somebody doesn't necessarily work for someone else. The important thing is to focus on skills, to always keep working, and just to always move forward. So what I would say is that it will feel like you're not doing that you're not progressing, or it can feel like that. And the thing I can say is that what we can bring to the table, generally speaking, again, you know my philosophy, I just told you, that I think that if you're ADD, you're probably very intelligent and very creative. Utilize that to produce results that other people with the Harvard MBAs, they can't produce. They can't, you think everybody can do it. You're like, I can pull this idea out of thin air, and I can be like, okay, I'm going to put it on the table. I'm going to A, B, C, D, E, and we're going to execute it. And it's going to result in this being created. Other people can't do that. You might not realize it at the time, but that stuff is really unique and amazing. And as long as you can put that into the right circles with some assistance, making sure your bills are paid, stuff like that, you can be very successul. It's just a different path.
Yes. You got to make sure you're circled. I don't know if it's the word to use, but you're going to understand from the context. You got to be circled with the right skilled people. They got to be around you. Because
absolutely, yeah.
The people who can execute on what you have in mind, basically.
The saying goes, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want other people that are very good at certain things around you, so that you can utilize them for this and this and this. But you know what? The creative content, the part that doesn't exist, you have to create it. That's what you're going to bring to the table. Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, think about the who, not the how, because most of the time we fall victims of starting to wanting to do things on our own, and it gets draining. It gets really fucked up, basically.
Yep. It's cumbersome. It's too much to carry, especially because we're not good at it. We're not good at the details of society and making sure, okay, this bill is paid and this form was submitted on time, and this, you know what, find somebody to help you with that, or find somebody to help you with whatever part that you're struggling with, because it's so much better, because then you can just be creative, or you can focus on the one thing you like doing.
Yes. I mean, even for the brand ADHDoers, I decided to kind of bring experts and bring people to interview for this, I don't want to be the one creating all the content, because otherwise it's just gonna get really boring. It's gonna I can't keep doing it. And I'd rather meet awesome people and interview them and then develop relationships with them later on. Maybe opportunities
Absolutely, yeah.
might come from that, etc., than trying to do things on my own and trying to position as the expert on a lot of different topics that could touch the ADHD. I mean, I did a quick, I analyzed the situation quickly, and I saw that all of the people who position as, for example, ADHD expert, they're just there as ADHD experts, and they just helped a small group of people, right? The one they could meet. But I want to help like the entirety. I want to create the system, the new education system, the new curriculum for people who have ADHD, for our kids, right?
Absolutely.
They're probably gonna have ADHD too. So
well, it's going to be massive input. It's massive input. That's not going away. All the input from all the sources it's not going to change or go away. To harness it though, and to understand how your mind is dealing with it is very important. I have an 11-year-old daughter, so I have to worry, I don't want to stifle you, but I also don't want you to develop bad habits of not paying attention. And so I don't think she has like a massive amount of ADD where she can't pay attention to, school or something, but I get nervous about developing it incorrectly. So,
I mean, in that young age, especially if it's ADD, it's hard to know if it's like just without hyperactivity.
Right.
It's hard to know if your kid has it or not, because they can really do good at school. Like I did, like when I was a kid, I was quite hyperactive sometimes. Other times I was just, I'm going with the flow. I'm doing my exams. I'm getting good to normal grades, and that's it. No one knew. But I mean, until the day I started knowing about the career, etc., getting concerned, then I knew I had a really big problem, because I wanted to focus, but I couldn't. Before I didn't know I didn't know the concept of focusing when I was a kid, actually.
Right, yeah, because you can muddle through it because you're intelligent and you can get through it fine, just like your counterparts, but you're doing it very differently. And at the time, you might not know that.
Yeah. Tell me, do you have to go or something?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
No, I'm good. I was just checking. I'm getting messages the whole time while we're talking, so I'm just checking. We're buying a house right now. So I'm making sure that, if we're getting an offer accepted, I need to know about it.
Right away.
We're doing engagement photos tomorrow. We have our anniversary dinner tonight.
I saw a post.
That's my personal life. And then while I'm doing that, I have a rush job for one of the NFL players that we're trying to finish up today for a tomorrow delivery, which is very uncommon. But, I put a huge pain in the ass fee on it, and he paid it. So I'm like, okay, I guess we'll get it done. So I've got a lot going on. I got some of my guys here working on a Saturday. We're going to be working a little tomorrow. So that's just my norm. That's just a normal weekend. That's a snapshot.
So you have quite some time for us, though, right?
No, I'm enjoying this, and I want to contribute, because, again, if I could have seen a video like this or something 10 years ago, it would have helped me tremendously, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, even before I knew why I was different or why I was processing things differently. It would have definitely helped. So I want to be there to help out the nenext generation of entrepreneurs, because they're going to come on board and they're going to look at things and they're going to get, oh, well, that guy made it look easy, or that guy made it look difficult, or whatever. And I don't, I want to express that you can just kind of ignore some of that stuff and just really focus on what you're good at. And then find, like you said, find the circle around you to put the right people in the right places to help you with the parts you're not good at. And really hyper focus, which is definitely our superpower. Hyper focus on the parts that you're really good at. And if you can do that and you can find a way to turn it into a revenue stream, then you can kind of end up kind of unstoppable. So I definitely want to help people get there.
So you agree a little bit about the fact that self-awareness could be the most important thing?
Oh, absolutely. It's a matter of understanding that it is different, but don't be discouraged by it. And I think that's the same thing you're trying to tell people, is that you don't have to be discouraged by it. It is different, and you do need to maybe, you need to accomplish things a little bit different way, but it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. In fact, I like it. I like I said, I find other people very boring. So for me, it's keeps me kind of moving and growing and always trying to accomplish more things. And that's why I like it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So since you don't use medication, probably no need to ask you about that, right?
No,
Or
no,
if
definitely
you,
not.
yeah.
Let the creativity flow. That's what I say. Don't dumb this down. Okay. It's a gift from God. Don't dumb it down. Like, just harness it, focus it correctly, get a little assistance from some friends, but don't dumb it down.
Yeah. What I could say about it is that you could use it to kind of hack, like if you're going to be forced to be somewhere and to focus and you know you won't be able to do it. I mean, what's if it's your I have caffeine plus taurine supplements too.
The taurine right there, that's what does it. It's the
Yeah.
taurine that does it. So it actually does give you just a little bit of extra focus. I keep these very limited to one a day at the most, because they're not great for your heart, but for your mind, it helps. The taurine helps you focus. So when I come in the morning, I'll do 2 to 3 hours of office work, and that's when I'm at my sharpest, and that's when I'll drink a Red Bull to stay super sharp. But if I get to 12 or 1 and I haven't accomplished the things I'm trying to do, then they go till tomorrow. They go till the next day, because at that point from 1 o'clock on, I'm going to do the things that I'm more natural at, which is sales, marketing, training my staff, and customer relations.
Yeah.
And so that's the stuff I don't need to focus on. It's super easy for me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm good at sales, or I could be good at, because I want you to actually help me with this, by the way.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we can do some now, and then we'll do a follow-up course. I'll interview you. It'll be good.
Thank you. So the thing is, I'm really bad at sales. Why? Because I've grown up, my father is a surgeon, right? So, you know, the doctors' families, you know how they are. You gotta study. And if I wanted to sell something, it was forbidden, right?
Oh.
If I used something and I wanted to sell it, it was forbidden too. My mom would take it out. She would tell me, we're not the type of people who sell, right? She used to tell me, no, you're not going to sell. We're going to give it to someone if I didn't want to use it.
Okay.
Well, I've had this blockage, and it's really hard for me to sell unless someone needs my services and, you know, helps me close himself, right?
Sure.
And so at the same time, I thought, since I have this huge barrier in front of me, what can I do? So I thought, well, I would create value, a lot of value, until people actually want to give me their money for what I do, right?
Absolutely the key. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not the type. I mean, I'm emotional. At the same time, if someone has problems and can't pay, I'm the type of people who will be emotionally invested in their situation and be like, yeah, I understand. And so
don't worry about it. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you can pay next. And I've been scammed. Like probably $3,000 went just because of these situations of people who would pay later and not gonna happen.
I would trade you in a heartbeat for the amount of money that I've let go, because I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I understand. I'll trade you anytime you want. My number's much higher.
Yeah, I mean, you're a bit older than me, and you have more experience.
So,
but I hope I don't lose money for that again.
It's okay. That's part of, that's part of us doing what we're supposed to do for humanity. I still have food, I still have clothing, I still have heat and air conditioning. I'm good. I have a wonderful life. So if I lost a few $1,000s on a deal because the person was irrational or unhappy or whatever, or fell on hard times or whatever, that's okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna do another job with them. I'm not stupid, but it's okay. And I don't even hold it in here, because a couple of times that I have, you hold that resentment or that grudge from somebody getting one over on you or something, and it just tears you up, and there's no place for that. So you just have to, no problem, I forgive you, and move on. And then the good stuff keeps coming, and you're fine.
But what do you think though? Should I change?
Sales?
Yeah, should I change the way I think about it and push myself and start becoming like close my emotional sides out of it, like throw it away and be like, no.
Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. So if you follow Grant Cardone, And he has these sales techniques and like closing techniques. Those are hard closers. They close in a very hard way where they basically get people to commit whether they're ready or not and make money. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a necessary thing in certain environments. The reason that I've been very successful in this business is my 3 approach philosophy. And I'm going to share it with you for free. It's normally $1 million. The first approach is, it's worth $1 million. I don't want any money. The first approach, or the first part of the approach, is that you build rapport. So if you have, let's say, a potential client or something coming in, you find a way to relate to them as a person. You find a way to acknowledge their humanity. They're not a number. They're not a pocketbook. They're none of that thing. Somebody calls me, hey Ross, I have a 2015 Porsche. It's black. What can we do to spruce it up a little? I'll say, hey, great job. Really awesome car. Glad you have that. Those are beautiful cars. There's some downsides. The black paint's very soft. It's going to be a little expensive, but let me see what I can do to help you out. So I've already created a connection with this person as a person, not as it's going to be a big job. I'm going to make a lot of money. The second part is to establish yourself as the expert. You can't just come out and go, I'm the expert. It doesn't work. And the more that you do it, it sounds like you're faking it. So the key to establishing yourself as the expert is just to talk about the product. And you say, okay, your 2015 Porsche has pure black, not metallic black paint. So I'll let you know, I've done a couple dozen of these. The paint is very soft. It takes a number of hours to do it correctly. But we've done it, and I can even send you some pictures if you'd like to see some before and afters and whatever. And so that person will go, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So now I like them and I'm confident in their ability. So that's the first step, the first 2 steps. The third step is to show them how what you know and what you're able to do will meet their need. At some point, you've already asked them, what is it that you're looking for? Well, I want my car to look better. I want it to look amazing. I want to protect it. You're like, okay, so you told me what you want. I've told you and shown you that I know how to do it. So when are we doing it?
Yeah.
That's it. I don't even close. I don't even ask for the sale. I just say, I can definitely help you with that. When would you like to get it? When would you like to do it?
You just seamlessly bring them down this funnel or this road till.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how usually sales happen in my case. It's not a strategy for me, right?
No.
If it's going to go through, it's going to go through. But I mean, if I do it like the way, if I think about it the way you did, and I have like a streamline it and know what I'm doing, I think I could do much better. So thank you for, thank you for this.
Just listen. And I think that's probably a key that a lot of people don't know. If you ever get a chance, read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, #1 bestseller. If you remember you guys are probably all too young, but the Franklin Covey planners. So this is Robert Covey. He helped develop the Franklin Covey planners. In the 80s and 90s, everyone used the planners. It was before PDAs and, virtual assistants and everything. So everybody used these planners and they're phenomenal. And this book is excellent. So the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the things it teaches you is that you have to let people talk. You have to listen. You have to genuinely listen, not think about the responses you're trying to form. So as somebody's talking, they're going, I need blah, 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 and I need this, and I need this. And you're like, okay, this stuff is boring, but it's a process where the person has to get it out. Once they've said everything that they need to say, the beauty of it is that then they're ready to listen. So that they've said everything they need to say. There's nothing else to say. You're not cutting them off. You're not trying to answer their question. You're just letting them talk. So once they've said everything they need to say, and they usually tell you everything that they need, which is beautiful for me, because then I just say, you said that you needed A, you needed B, and you needed C. I would love to help you with that. When can we get started? And they're like, this guy's a genius. He's going to do all the things that I need. I don't know even how he knows it. Well, of course I know it because I just listened to you. So listening to them and letting them talk. And then as soon as they're done, when they're done talking and they're done trying to put stuff out there, you just come in and show them the answers. And then they're ready to listen because they're done talking. And then you're good.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is probably, I love the moments like this when someone tells you something, but it's at the right time. It's very relatable, and something like this could not only help with selling, but I mean the way I function right now is I'm trying to recruit some people for the brand,
sure.
And I'm doing it because I'm doing everything on my own money, and I'm doing on a tight budget, one client financing everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
So the way I do it is basically by trying to convince people to work for me with a tight budget, with some benefits from this and that, and with some percentages from this and that would come probably. So, and if I use this technique, I think I could do better at closing, because I've had some no's, and
it's not going to be for everyone, and the no's are okay. The no's are a beautiful part of it.
Exactly.
It's not for everyone, but you find the right person, and you genuinely find what their needs are, what their goals are, and then you say, you know what, I can help you with that, and then you put them together, and it's beautiful for everyone, and that's the goal. That's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's the art of convincing people. It's not only about sales, right? And
it's not even convince. I don't like that term at all. It's not convincing. It's showing. It's showing. You've already told me what you need. I don't have to convince you that you need it. You literally just told me.
Yeah.
So it's mainly a manner of showing them, here's what you need, you told me, and here's what I can do for you, which is exactly what you just told me. So when are we doing it?
Yeah, that's
showing
awesome.
them. Let me show you. It's right here. I'll show you.
Yeah, got you. So tell me now, the next question is going to be, so we don't stay in this topic for too long,
okay,
even though it's a topic I need to know about, but anyway.
Anytime, I got you, whatever you need.
So how do you manage your time basically right now? It's just piece of paper, no assistant, just doing what's in front of you, crushing it?
No, absolutely not. You cannot do what's in front of you. You will fail, because you'll forget the one very important thing that's not in front of you. And so you can't do that. So what you have to do is you have to prioritize everything. And that's kind of what ADD people do, is when you get all the information in, you tend to prioritize the thing that you like the most. So that's how you hyper-focus. So you're like, I like this. I like Xbox. I'm going to go play Xbox for 10 hours. People with ADD, you don't get distracted while playing Xbox. Xbox is the distraction. So what you need to do is you need to be able to prioritize it and understand that your goals involve you doing the things that you don't necessarily enjoy doing, but you need to do. And you need to know yourself. You need to, like I said, for me, I know that if I go home at night after a 12-hour day in the shop, if I go home at night, I can't write up a terms of sale agreement. I can't. My brain is mush. There's nothing left. What I can do is I can process photos. I can look at the colors and move stuff around, or maybe get some photos ready for the next day for a marketing thing. That's what I can do at night. But I know I can't write copy or try to plan out the flow of my website or anything like that. I can't do that at night, because I'm done. So for me, in the morning, first thing in the morning, that's when I can do that. And that's knowing myself. So everybody's going to be different. Some people like to study in a library. Some people like to study in a nightclub.
Well, it brings us to self-awareness again. Knowing when you're good at what, and knowing when you're good at what.
So what I do, and again, there's tons of books on this. So if you see like my notes, okay, there's the column of things I'm writing out, and then there's the things that are happening as the day is going on. And then as I'm going through, I'm crossing them out. And if I'm like something's happening, a new client, I enter them into a system on the computer, cross them out, and then I keep going. And then the next day, or whatever, I'll start the next list, and I'll take the stuff off this list and put it on the next list to make sure I get to it. But you have to be able to look at it and prioritize it. And this is, I know this is old, right? I still have 1,000 notes on here. I have all of my calendars synced. I have probably 12 calendars that are synced across all my MacBooks and everything, and all of my employees. So, if you need to know what cars are coming in, it's on the calendar, and everything's there. So I store information in lots of ways, but the thing is it comes in so fast. I write it down, and then I put it where it belongs so that it's prioritized.
I have a question about I just thought about it. Can your business be systematized? I mean, can you detach yourself from your business? Or do you have to be there all the time?
There's been times where I've been able to, depending on who is running this part of it, the sales and the marketing, which is kind of my strong suit. So I did have an assistant for about 1.5 years who was actually running the luxury home coatings business. And then I brought her back over to the rehab detailing side where we were doing the cars, and she was able to help the clients. She understood. She'd been there about a year and a half. She understood the clients. She was able to take care of them. The guys were doing the work. So as long as it wasn't something too complicated or too crazy, it would function without me. And the goal, of course, is to get to that point again. But right now we've been in this massive growth cycle for 5 years straight. And so every time, even if I get the right people in, there's still a time where I have to do something new to grow that section. So I'm not there yet, but the goal is to get there. The goal is I just put in a marketing person who's awesome. She's doing really well. I also have 4 other staff members doing the work in the studio. And then I had to learn to say no to things that I can do that nobody else can do. So I'm like, I don't have a appropriate team member to do that. I don't have a technician to do that right now. So the goal is there, and we're definitely moving towards that. That way I can move myself out and start the next business, and then start the next business, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the hardest thing tends to be to find someone who can replace you.
Well, you're never going to
or just do some
all your jobs. There's not, I was doing last year, I was doing 4 full-time jobs in my business. 4. So I was the lead detailer. I was the sales and marketing team. I was the office admin, and I don't know, janitor, probably something else. And so each one of those needed a new person to replace me. And so as I've gotten a marketing person. I've gotten all the detailers established. Now I'm doing sales mostly, and office admin. So I'm down to 2 full-time jobs. I'm pretty excited about it. Another really, really good superstar in here, and I can probably take a day off or a week off and still have the business rolling. Yeah,
or someone just that you can just talk to on the phone, and it's done deal. So I mean, you just can't tell them. You just talk to on the phone so that you can know what's going on, how things are moving, etc. And you're up. You're done. Yep. You don't need to actually do anything else.
We'll get there, but that's the goal. That's the dream. So, but it's we're getting there. So it's just a matter. But I've got, like I said, I've got three more businesses under this umbrella that we want to launch over the next couple of years. I have my marketing agency, and then I even have several restaurant concepts. I spent a long time in restaurants, and I have several restaurant concepts I want to launch. So again, the goal for me is
you're on fire, man. You're you don't want to stop.
So I mean, it's not even about the money either. I had to struggle with money for a very long time because I absolutely couldn't care less about it. And so for me, listening to the gurus and the people that are, if you do this and you dream about a Lamborghini and you do this, and I would go, I like Lamborghinis. I would love a Lamborghini. But the problem is that I'd get up in the morning and I don't go and work my ass off just so I could sit in a fancy car. I don't even have time to drive it if I bought one right now. It doesn't matter. So for me, it became something bigger than that. It became the ability to develop, the ability to create. And then it became about my employees. Now I've got, 5, 6, 7 families that live and have a fun environment for them to grow in because of what I've put together. So that's my new motivation. And it's so much deeper for me than money.
Yeah, true. How much time do you have left? Because we have some questions left and we talked a lot.
I got about 20, 30 more minutes before my fiance starts calling every 5 minutes. Yeah.
By the way, congrats. I saw your post the other day.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're very excited. So she's been waiting for 5 years. I didn't even pay myself for a long time, so I had no money. And so, we were dating for a long time. And after a couple of years, I'm like, this is probably the girl. I can't buy her a ring. I can barely pay rent. So, finally she's waiting. And over the last 6 months, a year, the best part is she's used to me not making any money. So as I started making some, I just bought a ring and she didn't even know about it. And then, cause she's just used to me to being, pretty broke.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got engaged earlier this year and we're going to get married next year. So we're very excited. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's what I love about entrepreneurs. I mean, most of the time we don't need to pay ourselves. I mean, we don't think about it and it doesn't matter. And I mean, what you do every day is what matters for you. You're just like the life you're getting and paying yourself. You just say one day, you don't care about when this day is going to come because I mean, you're obviously the business might be making money, etc. But I mean, you don't care about getting it on your own and doing something about it.
if something
Apart
comes
from
up,
investing.
yeah, if something comes up and I need I needed some money to pay a bill, no big deal. I'll go get it.
Yeah,
When you work for free for 5 years, the business owes you a few grand at least, if not a couple 100,000. So, no big deal. But at the meantime, I don't need it. Like, I'm here all the time. I have food.
exactly.
We're good. So yeah, exactly. Okay, go ahead with
Uh,
your questions. I'm sorry, I'm sidetracked. I'm a little ADD. I don't know if you knew that.
so before we continue, we don't want to
Yeah.
get with the questions and then forget about the tour, because I want the people to see what you're
Okay.
doing here.
Yeah,
So can you give us another
all the
tour?
toys in a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So, by the way, I have this quick question. You told me when you were showing me that one car, you told me she has 20,000 miles on it. I wonder why these exotic cars, people don't put miles on it. I mean, if you're getting it, you're getting it to drive it and to put miles on it. And I don't know why in the United States maybe just put.
Well, there's some definitely differences. So here's the thing. So I'll give you an example. There's a value that goes to it. We had a LaFerrari in here last year. So that's a $3.5 million car. That car, if you were to take it on a road rally, let's say, and it's a beautiful, the machines drive amazing, and that's why their value has skyrocketed since they came out. So let's say you want to take it on a rally with your friends. So let's say you put 1,000 miles on the car. You've literally dropped the price by $400,000. So if you think that 1,000 miles is worth 400 grand, then go for it. And if you think that it's not, then it's okay. So there's a certain level where I have both clients. I have clients that drive the shit out of their cars, and I have clients that don't. They drive it a little bit. You get the prestige of enjoying it when you want to, and not driving it all the time. And there's a lifestyle that works for that, and it doesn't lose. It sounds like it would lose a lot of money. It really doesn't lose as much money as you think. So you could own the car for a year, an exotic car, put 2,000 miles on it, and sell it the next year, and your monthly expense of ownership might be $600 a month or $500 a month, because it doesn't depreciate the same way.
Yeah, I bought the course Exotic Car Hacks.
Okay,
I didn't follow through. I didn't follow through, but I mean, these concepts. I remember these concepts you just talked about.
Yeah, I've met with Pajim. I've been down in Florida. I lived down there for a long time. I'd go down there and have coffee with him a couple of times, and so even before Exotic Car Hacks came out, he and I talked about those concepts. He's been doing it. Most people don't know this, but he's been doing it for a long. I mean, you do know it because he talks about it, but I've known him for 10 years, so I've watched him do these things on this before it became. Hold on a second. You got it? Keys. I think the key's in the center console, right?
That scared the shit out of me.
I'm so sorry. We're connecting the battery on a truck.
It's okay.
We'll see in a minute why.
It's okay, man. It was.
Sorry.
It woke me up, man. It's all right, man. It's all right. So, what has been the hardest period in your entrepreneurial journey, and how did you fix it? How did you solve it? How did you manage it?
God, that is such a big question that I would have trouble really getting into all the different parts that were hard at the time, because as you grow, they get harder. So things that might have been hard 10 years ago that were like catastrophic are.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You're like, it's like a Tuesday now, that's like Tuesday at lunchtime. So that's one of the differences. But I would tell you that, and I think you alluded to this a little bit earlier, Amin, is that when you're a creative person, and if you hyper focus on the negative, it can really put you, down really fast. I had a period of time where I had brought in some employees and some people, friends. I'd gotten to a certain point where I'm like, I felt confident enough bringing in some really bigger, heavier hitters type people, and brought them in. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're trying to accomplish A, B, C, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Try to inspire, give the tools, so on. So after about a year, the things weren't working. They weren't developing. They weren't happening. I mean, we were still busy, but we were busy largely because of my volume, not because of my input and my direction. I'll never let my business fail. I'll work around the clock and I don't mean that figuratively, I've literally worked 40 hours straight before to make sure that the cars get done correctly and get out on time. I don't have to do that anymore, thank God, but I have done it. And so I'll never let my business fail, but I did bring people in and I paid them to try to help me move to the next level. And it didn't happen. Anyway, the short version is that I went through a massive depression because I was focused on that. I was hyper-focused on the part that wasn't working. Even though I was surrounded by exotic cars and I had, 5 or 6 high-end cars in my shop, which was the dream come true at the time. And I'm so depressed. And I was in a very dark place. That's it. There's no other way around it. I hyper-focused on the negatives at that time. And I think that as an entrepreneur, you're going to go through those times, whether they're extreme or whether they're just little thoughts of doubt. And I think that for me, emotionally, my passion will drive me to the stratosphere of accomplishment, but my, hyper focus on the negative will drive me to the depths of, fuck it, I'm done. This is not worth it. I can go, wait tables or bartend and make twice as much money with no stress, and it's fun and easy, but that's not moving you forward as a person. And so at those times though, you don't know that, and you're just focused on the negative. So I'd say
and before you know it, years have passed actually. Before you know it, when you hyper focus on the negative, years have passed, and then you turn back and see just hyper focused on the negative for years.
Here's what I did. I came to work every day, even though I didn't do anything, and I would go online and I would maybe look for some glimmer of hope, some inspiration, and I found it. And I read Third Circle Theory again, and that helped me break out of it. I listened to an audiobook from Gallant Dill that made things seem so ridiculously easy that I needed to jump on that. And so it just started changing my mentality back to the positive, and then it was go time.
Yeah.
That's
that's inspiring. That's the word. That's what you should be doing. You show up. The more you show up, the luckier you get.
That's it.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm going to ask you about the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, but I'm afraid we don't have time for that. What do you think? Do we or do we not? You better talk fast.
I'll hit a couple of key points. So I'll just do this. So like 8 years old, I'm crushing up Smarties and putting the sand into little paper envelopes that I made, and I'm selling it for $0.25. And so I'm making like a 75% ROI on my Smarties purchases. So that was my first business called Sweet Sand. I branded it and everything, and I'm selling it to my friends in the neighborhood. I had no idea of business concepts or anything, but I did the math as an 8-year-old and made it happen. Fast forward through 20 or 30 failed business ideas, and reading books, finding mentors, even if you don't know them personally, just listening to what they say. You're not going to get one guy to tell you everything you need to know. And everything that they tell you isn't going to work for you. But you get a few thoughts from this guy. You get a few thoughts from this guy. You get a few thoughts from this guy or gal, and you get inspiration. And that is what, when you put that and you combine that with action, actual physical action, you do something, you accomplish something, you put your neck out there, you try something, that's when you start to develop. The more that you do, you create a momentum. And I was actually writing a book on this, and obviously I haven't finished it because, it's distracting things around us. But there's this book on momentum that I'm writing.
Go on a plane. If you want to finish it, go travel on a plane. That's what I did. That's
when I wrote it. I was flying out to Vegas. I wrote like 10 pages, and then I never finished it. No, exactly, 100%. I need to take more trips without my fiance though, because then she's, like, oh, I'm scared or whatever. So I can't write. I can't focus as well. So yeah.
I wrote 50 pages on one travel, but it was a long one.
Nice. I'll do that more, so I can. That's a brilliant idea. I'll do that more. I need to do that more because that'll definitely do it. Yeah, I just grab my iPad or my phone and I'm just like.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the entrepreneurial journey took a lot of turns, but couple of the key things that I learned was don't be afraid. That was a big one for me. I was afraid of failing, and I was afraid of succeeding. I was afraid of my friends thinking I wasn't. I was leaving them or whatever. You got to let that shit go. That is going to happen if you want to be the best version of yourself. you have to be surrounded by people that also want to be the best version of themselves. And if your friends currently at the level that you're at don't want to do that, there's no reason to restrict yourself. You need to be the best version of yourself, and that will require, moving on.
Yeah.
So just don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of failure either, because what's the worst thing that can happen? I think I was reading a book. I think it was called The Midas Touch. It was Robert Kiyosaki and Donald Trump, before he was president, wrote this. And it was literally a book. And I got a few key points out of it. One was, the main one was, don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen? And really write it down. Write down what's the worst that can happen. I'm like, I live on my cousin's couch in 45 minutes away. I'm like, that's not so bad. She has a nice couch. But do I want to do that? No, but that's the worst that can happen. So let's do it. Because I'll tell you what the worst can happen is if you don't try anything and you look back and you're my age, 43 or 45 or whatever, and you go, I haven't done anything. All I've done is work and pay bills and pay a mortgage and pay and that's midlife crisis time. You don't want that. You want to enjoy and you want to grow. So I would just say, from an entrepreneurial, the beginning was, you have to take action. You have to subvert your fears. You have to find a mentor, somebody that can inspire you, and also look for inspiration in other places, because there's problems out there that haven't been solved. And if you solve them, that's how you make money.
Exactly. You actually answered the two following questions in this one, so it's great. And I was worried. I was like, oh my God, he doesn't have enough time, and I don't know how we're gonna do all of this. How are we gonna pull it off? So the first one was what would you tell someone who's adopting the victim's mindset? And the second one was, what would you tell an ADHDoer who would want to start a business right now? And I think you summed it up pretty.
Absolutely. So if you want to get into a business, those are the things that you have to do. Owning a business, running a business isn't for everyone. It really isn't. But there are ways to do it in safer environments. So if you feel like you're good at sales, get a sales job where what you're selling is expensive and you can actually make more money. Grant Cardone talks about all the time. There's two ways to become rich. You can be a business owner, or you can be a salesperson. So if you're selling yachts, you're not going to be broke. If you're selling, Burger King, you're going to be broke. So you have to know what you're selling, but that's a way to have a business, or what's called an entrepreneurship, a business inside of another business. And then you don't have to worry about a lot of the details. You just have to worry about your clients and getting them to spend money.
True.
So it depends. It just depends on what your goals are and what you're good at.
Yeah. Or be a programmer and work in Silicon Valley.
Well, yeah, but that has a limit to how much you make. I mean, you make $250,000 a year, sure, but have you made $250,000?
I mean, just do what you kind of love and you're passionate about, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the last question, and then the tour.
Okay, sounds good.
So what did you find out is the best role for you right now as an ADHD CEO or entrepreneur? Or like, what do you spend most of your time doing? And would you advise the other ADHD entrepreneurs to do the same, or find the things that they can keep doing all day long? Okay.
Good question. I kind of went over a little bit of it, but let me just specify for that exact question. If you are starting out, you are going to do everything. You are going to do everything. You have to do almost everything. There's going to be things that, let's say like my app that I wanted to design and build. So I designed it, but I couldn't build it. I'm not a programmer. I could go and learn how to program if I was passionate enough about it, but I really don't want to. So I could have found a programmer. I talked to a few, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it didn't sound right. So I just ignored it. But for the most part, if I had brought somebody on as a programmer, I would have still done development, design, sales, marketing, customer service. I would have done all of it except for the programming. So you brought somebody in for that. I would say that you hone your skills in whatever it is that you're good at, but you have to do everything. You can't start out a business.
No,
I don't think paying people to do everything.
Yes, but I mean,
yeah.
What are you doing right now in your business most of the time? and crushing it in your business. That's what I meant.
Well, what I'm saying is you have to start out doing it all, and then you can replace people doing certain jobs as you are able to afford them. As where I'm at right now and where my strong suit is sales and marketing. So I have like a 95% close rate. So if I get somebody in these doors or on the phone, I'm closing about 95% of the people that call us. And it's all the techniques I already shared with you. So I'm not even like, trying to brag. Like I want everybody to be good at it.
That's nice.
And then marketing is the same thing. I think for ADHD people and ADD people, marketing is really good because what marketing is, what it really is it is the ability to observe what's going on, the ability to observe and understand what people are harnessing or seeing or observing or somehow taking in, and then using that knowledge to get something in front of them that they get interested in. And that's what marketing is. So generally speaking, most of the people watching this video through ADHDoers will probably be very good at that. So on my daily role, that's what it is. But the most important thing that I do, because I still want to replace this role with someone, is I want to just be creative. So I will come up with the concept.
A business artist.
What's that?
A business artist.
Oh, I like that. I've never actually heard that term. That's exactly what I want to do.
That's that's what I said myself. I am a business artist.
Yeah. I'll create the business, and now after all the mistakes and all the trials and all the successes and all the things, you learn what to do. So you say, okay, I'm going to create this business, and I'm going to bring in this person A, B, and C, and I'm going to train them the way I want them to do it, and then they're going to do it. And then I'm going to move on to the next business over here, and I'm going to hire A, B, and C over here, and then do it. So that's kind of the role that I'm in now.
The orchestrator.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all the questions are finished.
Awesome.
And
ready to see the shop? You want to see what we do?
Yeah, I will let's show the people what you're doing here.
No, it's October. It's almost November here, so obviously. So in Cleveland, it gets pretty cold. We just started having cold weather in the last few weeks. So this is actually the dullest that my shop looks. If you'd come 2 months ago, 3 months ago, it's even much more exciting. But I'll be glad to show what's going on right now because we do have some pretty choice things in the shop.
I've seen, when you showed me, I've seen some GTA things in here, right?
Yeah, we do some pretty cool stuff. So, okay, I'll walk you around. So we've got, I'm going to approach the back here. We've got a Jaguar E-Type. So this is a pretty rare car, 1966, fully restored. We're bringing it in to actually do some restoration on the paint. Not that it needs much, but we're gonna shine it up a little bit and put ceramic glass coating on it. But this is a V12, fully restored, absolutely just spectacular car.
This is Hollywood type of shit, man.
Well, that's what we try to do. So this Mustang GT here is putting out over 700 horsepower. We did the vinyl wrap on it about 2.5 years ago. I did the custom stripes, designed them myself. Here, I'll try to swing around. We actually had a little fender bender up here this week, or about 2 weeks ago. So, but you can see the rest of it looks good. So it's also an air ride. We did the air ride system, but I can't lower it because the fender got smashed up a little bit.
Sorry,
it'll
Ross. Guys, do you see? Passion actually pays. Can you see Ross how he talks about his things? Just see how he talks about his things and how he loves it, the thing he's doing right now, and kind of analyze. Ross, can you keep doing?
Yeah, of course.
This is what
I wanted you. That's fine. Yeah, this is a BMW S1000RR, but this is a very special edition called an HP4. It has blue titanium bolts, hardware. There's a bunch of carbon fiber. This guy's already modified it significantly. You got carbon fiber wheels. They're actual carbon fiber, not like colored or anything. So we've already coated this, polished it, and protected it. Sometimes we'll put paint protection film on the front. We actually did these headlights in yellow and paint protection film, and then we do clear paint protection film on the rest, just to keep the rock chips down. Obviously, motorcyclists don't have to drive behind, dump trucks and semi-trucks and get rocks thrown at them, but sometimes it happens. Is it on? All right, so this is our big project that we're working on right now. It's for one of the NFL players. So it's a Silverado. He called me on Tuesday night at 9:30 at night. He's like, hey, can you do a sound system and a Starlight headliner? And I'm like, sure. And he goes, I need it by Sunday. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's totally different. That's 3 days of work. So here we are, 3.5 days later.
Finished.
It's done. There's the Starlight. headliner.
Looking awesome.
Everybody see that?
It changes colors, right?
Yeah, it changes colors. It beats to the music, and we have the subwoofers going in right now.
Wow.
So we're putting in a sound system under the seats. And again, we don't even do this anymore. So, but you know, I'm willing to do it for a really good client.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, they leave you a $9,000 check in the glove box and tell you to come pick the car up. So, you know, I'll make it happen. I'll figure it out. So here's a 2015 911 Carrera GTS. This has got about 20,000 miles on it, I think. Owner just picked it up used, so it was a little beat up, the paint and everything. So we did a full paint correction on it, about 15 hours of work. The whole front end is covered in paint protection film. And I don't know how well I can move my laptop down, but the edges are like, there's no cut marks, like it's all wrapped edges. So we do about a very expensive install to make sure that the whole front end is protected and seamless. The rest of it gets ceramic coating, including the wheels. So the wheels are coated, even though they're matte finish, they're actually coated. So when you go to wash them, they just wash right off.
It's so bright I could see myself.
Yeah, and we have two more Porsches getting the same thing. So there's a Boxster, 718 Boxster right here. The whole front end, again, the whole front end is film. We just finished it. So it's super, you know, you can't see it. But that'll block any kind of rocks happening. And then here's an older Cayman that just got corrected and coated. Unfortunately, it does have a lot of rock chips. So it's never going to be perfect again, but it won't get any worse. So it's something. And that's about it. We got some of the vinyl wrap on the walls back there. We've wrapped over 100 cars. Some pretty crazy ones too. We had the $1 million prototype that we wrapped that went to Pebble Beach last year. We wrapped you guys may have seen it on some of our pages. We wrapped a i8 in holographic chrome, put underglow on it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, man, listen, it's really great to see you actually talk about what you do, because we can see it in your eyes. We can see it in the way you talk that you love this. And this is like one of the things that show the legitimacy of what successful people say, you know, what really big successful people say when they talk about passion, etc. Because I mean, who's gonna do some type of stuff like this? Who would be willing to you know, have an interview about their job and talk about it like it's their diamond ring or something, you know? So man, thank you so much for this interview.
Absolutely.
And I enjoyed it so much. If someone wants to reach out to Ross, I'm gonna tag it in the video. It's gonna be in the group, ADHDoers community. And
I just want to let you guys know, whatever you need, like if it's something I can help with, I'll be there. So just feel free to ask questions. If you want to tag me in them. You know, I'm not on there like reading through. I'm obviously pretty busy, but if something comes up, I will take a few minutes and just be like, okay, here's what I recommend for that. Because I want to help the community. And in this case, it's actually something pretty precious to me. You know, a lot of people might have had, like, you know, cancer in their lives or something like that, where they want to help those people. And that's beautiful. And you know, I've had some of that as well. But when I think about some of the years that I wasted because I didn't understand how to really harness ADD and ADHD, I want to help you guys. So this is anything you need. I don't have all the answers, but I have a few, and I'll be glad to share anything I can.
Yeah, we do it online. High five.
High five.
Let's do it again at the same time, right? That was crazy, right? So thank you so much for this, and I hope we see you in another interview, maybe in a couple of years.
Anytime, man. All right. Thanks.
By the way,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Can you send me your email? Not your email address, your shipping address, so I can ship you an ADHDoer t-shirt. I'm gonna send you the website so you can choose one. The size, the address, and everything. And yeah, thank you for this.
Thanks, Amin. I'll see you soon. Thanks again.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye.